Hi, so we are going to see loan management system, which is SDE1 BrightMoney assessment task. So to run this code that I have made, we need to set up few things, and the setup instruction has been given in the README section of the GitHub repository. So you can easily do it just by following the commands till 4. And we can see that first of all we need to run our Redis server followed by celery, which is done using this. And just for information, Redis is acting as a message broker for my celery. Finally, you have to make the migrations and set up the tables, and which is followed by this command, which is python3 manage.py import csv, because it actually helps to store this transaction data into our collection model, which is basically this one, that is transactions. So we just store it right in our db SQLite 3, and at the end we run our server. So yeah, so as of now I'm just minimizing it and collapsing it. Now let's see what happens here. So here we have this one. Okay, cool. So we need to register a user. So first of all, let's say I want to register this user. So I have copied this, and I need to go here and just replace the Aadhaar ID with this. And let's say the name is something Mosh, MOSH, and email ID is something, let's say 1 and the annual income is, let's say, 1000 rupee. Okay, so when you will hit, you will see that the user has been registered and provided a unique user ID. Now what happens if I hit this request again? So obviously you will get an error because Aadhaar ID and email ID is already existing, so we cannot register the user, right? Now let's say we go to some another register user, and let's copy it. Okay, so let's copy it, let's send it. So I know that email is already existing, so let's change the email and let's make the income little bit higher, and let's send the request. So we have got this unique user ID. Now this is ID which is used for identification of user and helps to apply for the loan. So we need to pass it here. So there are some restrictions for applying the loan. What I mean is that everybody cannot apply for the loan. There are some set of constraints over which this API has been designed, and yes, this has been provided into my this assessment task itself. So let me show it through VS Code itself. So let's say my interest rate is 5.56%. So what happens when I click send? So first of all, this user is not eligible for the loan because of the low credit score, which is 300. So first of all, whenever we register the user, we do some calculations to calculate the credit score, and if the credit score is greater than 450, then only the user is eligible. So I know that this guy is not eligible. So what I do is I just go and pick some another user, let's say this guy. So let's copy it, and we again register the user. So we register it, and let's say the name is Mosh23 and the email is something, and let's say the income is 991040 something. Okay, finally when you register, you will get again a unique user ID. Let's copy it and let's go here. Okay, cool. So we have got till now like unique user ID. Now this guy want to apply for the loan. So when we again hit this request, so this time the user is having a high credit score, but the interest rate is quite low. So as per the condition, we should have at least 15% or something. Okay, now imagine that a user wants to apply for the car loan and he is asking a very big amount. So what happens if I send it? So it says that invalid loan amount for the selected loan type, because on the car the company is not providing this much amount, right? So that's why you cannot have such a big loan amount. Okay, so let's say again I have education. Now in education also there is a limit of 50 lakhs. So let's say I want to take 40 lakhs. So 1 10,000, 10,000 lakh, 10 lakh. So it is 40 lakh, right? And let's say I want to have this for at least 15 months, and the date of disbursement is as it is. So what happens when we send it? So we get a list or the response here, as you can see. So we get a loan ID, which is again important thing that we should copy it. So let's paste it here, because this loan ID actually helps to interact further with this loan, with this EMI. So we say that the due date is this much and how much amount is due. So basically this is my EMI, and you can see that the last EMI differs from the regular EMIs as per the basis of EMI calculations, because last month can have lesser EMI, right? It is based upon the calculations, right? Or we can say loan amortizations. So yeah, that's what it happens when you hit it. Now there is something called as get statement. So get statement accepts your loan ID, right? So let's copy it and go here. let's see it. Okay, now when I send it, I see that there has been no past transactions because we haven't made any payment with this loan ID, and there is amount due, like this much is amount is due. But what happens if I remove this 8? So probably you will get that this is not a valid loan ID basically. So this is very important. So how many times you you will be getting the same list. So yeah, that's what happens when we click on get. Now we want to make the payment, right? So we need to pass the loan ID, and just for simplicity we have assumed that the payment is done on the first of every month and exact amount of EMI is paid. Okay, so what happens when I click on make payment? So this is the post request. When I hit, so it says payment is successful, means we have paid our first this one basically 10th of 2023-01. Sorry, this is date, month and year. So let's click. So we see that yes, the amount has been paid this much, and the principal and the interest basically if you will sum up both of them, you will be getting the EMI, right, EMI amount. So you have paid it successfully. So these are my past transactions and these are my upcoming transactions. Okay, so what happens if I click here send here? So nothing will happen because the payment is still same. So let's pay it again. So when you click, obviously the past transactions will be this much and upcoming transactions are still left. Now these now we can also have other the same user can apply over different loans at the same time. There is no dependency, and you can also register the user as many times as you want, as we have already seen that I have already registered 3 users and this is the 3rd user. So now we just, for the sake of simplicity, I am just copying this loan ID for my future reference. So this is already in the note section, I feel. Yeah, now this guy who was like unique user ID with this means most 232 again wants to apply for, let's say, car loan. So you can write here car, and let's say he's taking some loan for 4,000 or let's say 40,000. Okay, and this time let's say the term period is just 5 or let's say 2 months. Okay, and the interest rate is this much. Okay, so when I click here, so it is saying that interest earned is lesser than 1,000. What does this mean? This means that this guy who is applying for the loan, so overall the interest that will be earned is lesser than 10,000. So it is not, the company is not making the profit, so it will not be granting the loan. So let's say the term period has been 15. Okay, so okay, and the loan amount is also, let's say the interest rate is, this time interest rate is quite high, let's say 65%, and term period is 45 months. Now when I hit, again the interest is quite the interest is lesser than 10,000, so we go for little bit higher term period. So yeah, so finally the loan is granted and we have another unique loan ID which is as shown on the screen. Okay, so we just copy it. So what will happen if I just do here? So when you send, you will be getting a different data for this particular loan ID, and if you want to make the payment, so I can go here and let's copy it. So so we have seen that the payment is successful. Yeah, so in this case, now the principal and interest amount are as shown and amount is paid this much. Now suppose I want to make the payment and keep on paying. So now whenever the loan is closed, you cannot make the payments. Like you can see, you cannot make the payment if the loan is closed because you have paid all the EMIs. Now what happens if I click on the get statement now? So the loan has been closed, that's why there are no more transactions that you will see here. So this is how we deal. So the car loan is done. Now let's finalize this loan also, which was an educational loan, right, if you remember. So let's make the payment. So you will see that payment is successful because still the EMIs are left. Okay, so yeah, so we can see that there are still a few upcoming transactions which has to be paid on the first of every month. So let's make some payment. Okay, so we keep on paying, and what happens if I click here? So you will see that it is reflected in the past transaction. So it's still my 1 2 3 4 5 6. So so when I click here get, so you can see that only one transaction is left, right? So what happens if I make the payment? So whenever you make the payment and whenever you hit, so the loan will be closed because you have made all the payments. So yeah, so this is how because loan is closed because you have made all the payments. So this is the illustration of my make payment and get statement APIs. And apply loan is quite easy. We have already seen that loan granting is done on the basis of some conditions. Like suppose if the unique user ID is this, and again he wants to apply for the car loan with some amount, let's say this much. So what will happen? It will say invalid loan amount because there are some restrictions which are put it over loan amount, interest rate, or the interest earned, or on the basis of credit score that we have already seen. Similarly, we can also register the user at any point of the time because the server is listening it using Celery. So let's go here and paste it, and let's say the name of user is this and the email is this and the income is this much. Okay, so it will say that yes, the user has been registered successfully. So I hope I was able to explain all the 4 APIs which was supposed to be built here. Thanks for listening and watching.